This locker room, I feel like it's a situation we've been in before, and just using that previous experience that we have to carry us over.
Josh, Coach talked about, focusing on about the task at hand. It's always week to week, right? But this point in time of the season, got to bring your A game because the B game ain't good enough, right? So, what do you think are some of the requirements of having that certain type of focus?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, number one is practice, making sure that we're straining and taking care of all the small details that sometimes get overlooked. That's the fundamentals of the game. That's something Coach McDermott preaches all the time is fundamentals, ball security, and mentality. So I think that all kind of wraps up in the same category for me, and I think a lot of guys would feel the same way about that. But again, just lean into the experience that we have.
What is having a game, most recently like the Dallas, kind of the all-around dominating performance, to have that to maybe build on going down the stretch? I know you've been through this before, but that has to validate a lot of what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you talk about December and January football games, weather could be a part of that equation, and to go out there and trust the run game and trust our offensive linemen up front to go get a job done, and they did it so well this last game. And that was a really good interior that we faced. So credit to our guys for working hard and communicating well and going out there and executing. But not many teams I think can change your game plan like that midway through a game and just attack the run. It's something that was good to see from our guys, and it was good to see Joe just continuing to call on it. And that's something we're going to need down the stretch.
What are the challenges you guys face with Khalil Mack?
Yeah, he's still one of the more premier pass rushers in this league. He's got 15, I think, on the year. A guy that can be extremely dominant. He played at UB, so I think there's some probably extra motivation going against the Bills, and he's a fantastic player. But they got some other guys on that defense too that fly around, that can make some plays, and I couldn't tell you what's going on in their minds right now with coaching change and this and that, but I can tell you one thing, that they're going to be ready to play come Saturday night. So we got to put on our game face and prepare to play a 60-minute battle.
You talk about giving Joe credit to keep going to the run, but when things start rolling like that, your communication with Joe, do you get on the headset at all and say, like, hey, keep feeding Jimbo, like, this is working?
Well, yeah, I think it was at halftime, just keep calling it. And, credit to our offensive assistant coaches on there too for trying to keep Joe in his seat, because coordinators they want to throw the ball too. Don't get it twisted. You want to be able to be balanced and throw in some wrinkles and have the splash plays, but again, when something's working so well, to go away from it, it's very hard to do, and it's probably not the smart thing to do. So again, kudos to him and our staff for just trusting the guys up front and trusting Jimbo and our run game and just continuing to attack it. It's large and part of whatever one's down there when you score. But Dion, I think the previous or two plays before that, had that big pancake block, and I got up and I looked for him, and he happened to be right there. So we try to practice that and get everybody a spike. Mitch doesn't typically like to spike the ball. He's just like, high five and get me off this field. Let me go sit down. But we'll get him one this week. Yeah, that's. I don't know if you guys saw the video. Stuck to my shirt on the back. I was running and somehow got ripped off, and I got up and I couldn't find it anywhere. I just assumed that one of the Cowboys guys picked it up and threw it to their sideline, because that's what defenders will typically do. The next play, I felt something hitting my low back, and I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And I ripped it off my shirt, and yeah. But Kyle was ready. He was a 10, and it's a good sign of a number 2 right there.
What's it like in the room when you guys are all around?
Yeah, it gets the juices flowing. I'll tell you that. A lot of guys love seeing that. It's one of the more fun plays I think I've ever watched. That's a run play. I mean, for him to go do that 20-plus yards downfield, right at the goal line. And watching it back on tape. Watching it live was awesome, because I was kind of right there. I was like the first guy there. But watching it on tape's just as good too. He's worked extremely hard. on the jugs machines before and after practice, running routes in practice, making sure that we're getting a lot of reps on those. But again, just trusting his ability to go out there and make some plays, and he's been providing for us, and we're going to continue to go back to him. That's what Coach Brady talks about. The greatest measure of success is the opportunity to do more, and he's gotten the opportunity to do more because, again, he's been doing his job and making some unbelievable plays. And that catch that he made in the end zone, that's not an easy catch. You can ask any receiver. That's a tough one. The nose of the ball is going down and away from you, and to stick out your hands and catch it with your hands, it's not easy to do. So credit to him on that one. It's awesome. They work extremely hard. I got a lot of love for those guys. I've been here with Mitch for quite some time now, and in terms of just collective group, it's the best I've ever been around. Guys care about each other. They work hard. They communicate well, and you're starting to see that pay off during games. But I've been seeing it all year, and they haven't gotten nearly enough credit they deserve. And again, down the stretch here, that we're going to need to ride them and rely on them, and they're up for the task. Yeah, it's getting a little crazy now. So I think I started off too strong. I think I should have continued to casually build my way up, but they deserve it.
Josh, on and off the field, what has Dion Dawkins meant to this team this season, just playing out all the
Yeah, mindset, mentality-wise, it's the best he's ever had. The ways that he takes care of his body, the transition that he's done over the last year and a half mentally is unbelievable. I got a lot of love for him, a lot of respect for him, because that's not easy to do, especially being kind of deep into your career, to kind of change your entire process. And he's done it. It's been working out for him. And again, he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year for us. So in terms of off the field, just making sure that he's doing everything right. His attention to detail is outstanding, and again, he's having the best year of his career because of that. And love the guy.
Josh, how humbling is it to know that as good as this team is, you're ninth in the AFC? How hungry does that make you get where you need to be?
Yeah, that part does suck. Don't get me wrong, but again, we're not paying much attention to that. We gotta control what we can control, and that's Saturday night against the Chargers.
Coming off 2 big wins, still understanding what's ahead, do you still feel like this is a team that plays desperate and still feel like you guys' backs are still against the wall?
Absolutely. Every game from here on out is a playoff game for us. That's the mentality that we have. It's essentially win or go home. So, again, we got to be prepared for every punch that the Chargers can throw at us, and be able to respond and adjust accordingly in game. So yeah, we got to be ready. Hey guys.
Good afternoon. Can't really say.
So why don't you want to spike the ball?
It's just never really been my MO. I don't think it's a bad deal. I think it's a great show of. It's just a great expression of emotion. It's just not my expression of emotion.
Mitch, Josh just talked a little bit about playing with your backs up against the wall, kind of like that every week is a play-off of this. Do you sense that also in the room?
Yeah, I think that's been the mantra. I'd say the last 2 weeks, we understand where we're at, but we also don't dwell on that. We just try to compound these moments like I've talked about ad nauseum, right? And when you compound those moments come Sunday or Saturday in this case, you've got a good reserve, and you just go out and just do your best you can with all your focus and all your energy, and then let the chips fall where they may. All right.
Could you just give us your thoughts on defensive line? He's made progress this year. It looks like it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, Spencer Brown's always taken pride in being accountable and being relied upon. And, I think these past 2 years have not been the easiest for him with his health, and that certainly affected his play. Not having that, training camp, and now he's really taken onus of his craft and being a professional and understanding what that means to him. Because everyone kind of tries to find out how to be a professional, and you try to emulate other guys' techniques and stuff, and sometimes that's just not right for you. And I'm not saying that he was doing anything wrong. I think he just found what worked for him, and he's sticking to his routine, and he's being accountable, and he's taking the coaching, and it's just been such a privilege to see him kind of lock down that right tackle position where I know he's been getting a lot of flack in the past.
Are you expecting a team that's fired up in the Chargers, given what's going on in the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. They're professionals, and they take pride in their work, and they take pride in showing up on their respective game days and playing. And they got a good team. They do. And anyone else who's trying to talk you out of it is just living in fantasy land. These guys have a great team, and they have amazing talent on their team. And so for us, it'll just be matching that and kind of coming in like we have the last few weeks and just in our preparation and try to come out Saturday and just be as competitive as we can.
Mitch, what has impressed you about Dion's play this season?
Well, I think he's he's just taking that next step in his professional career, which is kind of scary to see, right? And he's just always been physically imposing and just brutally good football player, but he's taken onus on the little things, the minute details, the ins and outs of every play, of his technique, and how to take care of himself. And he's another guy who prides himself on being accountable and being there for his guys. I think Dion's, of all the players I've played with in my past, he's up there in regards to what it means to him to have the guys around him's back. Like he fights for the guys around him, and he's taken a point of pride in that, and that's shown on Sundays and respective game days.
Why is it unique to see him take this next step in his career this late in his career?
Oh, I mean, it's not to say that it was just the next step. It was the next leap. I think, he was already a very good football player, and he'd already made the steps that he needed to take to kind of progress to that point, and now he's taking the next one. And it's just exciting to see. It's a good question, and it's also kind of independent to the person.
What's it like for you? Josh said at halftime, the conversation was, hey, we're going to keep pounding the ball. Like, we're going to ride the offensive line. What's it like for you as a position that doesn't get a ton of attention to say, we're going to ride these guys?
I think he asked the guys in the offensive line, no one really cares about getting attention, not. We care about winning the game. And at that moment, the run game was being effective, and so we were just sticking to it. And then, like Josh kind of alluded to, I think kudos goes to Joe, because it wasn't the sexiest game for receivers or coordinators, but in the end it was about getting the win. And I think more than anything, it gave us time of possession to give our defense an opportunity to rest, as well as put them in a position where they had to throw the ball and let our guys hunt. And it also gave us an opportunity to not have to pass pro that much against a extremely talented pass rushing unit. So it was just it was something that we weren't totally planning on running it that many times, but it was just kind of go with the flow. And I think the coaches did a great job of making those in-game adjustments. And once we understood what the task was at hand, the guys just kind of stuck to it.
In whatever walk of life, we all get in the grooves and really good grooves. And when it comes to having your back against the wall in this situation, is it easier to be in that groove and maintain that focus of being in the groove? Or what are the challenges of staying in that groove while knowing that the next loss could cost you?
Yeah, I mean, in the past when you go to the playoffs in general, right, if you try to change up what you're doing, and this is speaking from the past, right, a guy who hasn't been to the playoffs or anything, and then they ask you, how do you prepare, what's different about the playoffs? I say, well, I mean, the stakes are at their highest. but you know what's worked and you know what works, so stick to it. Double down on it. Don't have to change anything. So we know what worked. We know the formula that works for in regards to preparation that gives us the best opportunity to come out on Sundays. So we're going to do that, and we're going to lay it out there and let the chips fall where they may. We're preparing to win, and if it happens, it's because we prepared, and if it doesn't, then we're going to give it our all out there and hope for the best, you know.
Played next to a lot of different guards since you coming in here with 0 reps with either of these guys. How has them steadily being next to you throughout the entire season? I mean, literally.
Yeah.
How has that kind of helped build your trust in them and vice versa?
Well, I think we've been extremely fortunate in regards to our continuity. It's something that you rarely see, and to have that just in general by this time in the year, you've accumulated so many reps, and you understand how everyone's going to work these blocks and how each individual is going to attack certain things. You've gained this nonverbal communication, or you minimize the verbal communication. Part of it is you just you do what you're told. You go out and play with whoever you've got, and maybe it's guys changing around and stuff. But this year we've been very fortunate to have 2 very good guards who are. We've been just very fortunate, and we're looking forward to hopefully keeping that continuity. You can't speculate because that's something that you really can't control. But been very fortunate, and I know the tackles say the same with these guards. Well, yeah, I think I've learned more than I can. Joe he's very prideful in regards to how he wants to be a player's coach, and not so much to be your buddy, but he wants to know your thoughts about plays. He wants to know why you're comfortable, why aren't you comfortable with certain plays, and maybe we can make these tweaks, or maybe it's good to know that you don't like this play because of this. We'll make sure to do something else. And I think also his ability to lean on the offensive staff. I think we've got 4 offensive coordinators or past offensive coordinators in our offensive staff. And it's a pretty remarkable deal and a treasure trove of information. So he's leaning on those guys, and it's just been a privilege to be a part of. And right now we're just kind of on that train rolling and hoping to keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you. What would it mean to get Daquan Jones back? What would that mean to you guys?
It would be huge, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like our D-line has done a good job, but he was doing such an amazing job earlier in the year, and just having that force, that will help us a ton.
What did you guys do so well against CeeDee Lamb the other night?
I feel like we had a great awareness of where he was at all times, and the coaches put a good game plan together to make sure that we limit him as much as we could.
It seemed like you got matched up with him quite a few times. I don't know if that was maybe them moving him into the slot. But,
Mm-hmm.
when you get a challenge like that against an elite guy, what's that like for you?
It's tough, you know what I'm saying? It's always tough, but just making sure I lock in, do all the things that I've practiced throughout the season, just trust my training, and I'll be fine.
Their pass offense, Dallas is so potent.
Mm-hmm.
They were averaging 37 points a game.
Yeah.
So you really weren't going to be able to bring a 8th man in the box for sure.
Yeah.
down there.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of watching the tape, what did you think of the tackling and then the way you stopped their draws and their runs with the light box?
Man, watching the tape, I mean, I thought we looked great. You know what I'm saying? I thought our defense flew around, guys tackled well, and it helped us.
How much of the way you guys have rallied around losing so many guys this year
Mm-hmm.
can you trace to Sean McDermott kind of leading your defense in this new role that he has?
I mean, I say a lot. You know what I'm saying? The coaches do a great job making sure guys are ready, even if they're not up this week or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So that's a huge thing that I think we do a great job with, is developing our guys and making sure they're ready, even if they're not starting. You know what I'm saying?
Even though I know he missed last week,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit hurt right now, but if he is able to get back and play, what kind of a challenge is he?
A tough challenge. He's one of the best receivers in the league, very quick, and the quarterback is always looking for him. So just making sure we have an awareness of him.
How much have things changed for you as you guys have implemented this dime package a little bit more with the extra safety out there this season?
Mhm.
You guys played pretty much nickel all the time.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last
yeah.
couple of years. In your role, how have things changed?
Honestly, not much at all. I'm still basically playing the same position. It's just we got another DB out there, you know. So it hasn't changed too much. I mean, I like having more DBs out there, you know what I'm saying? So it's just exciting, and I feel like it brings another level to our defense.
Do you like it because of the potential for turnover with the added speed out there?
I would say so. You know what I'm saying? I feel like all our safeties do a good job, whether it's Cam, Jordan, Micah when he's out there, Taylor, just doing a good job covering or playing that dime position well.
So it's like Poyer is basically some of the time
Mhm.
doing the call that Milano would do.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
the difference though is sometimes they can put Poyer back and bring him
Exactly.
there, so there is a little. The quarterback
Ye-
is looking at numbers.
Yeah, it could definitely mess with a quarterback's eyes, I'd say.
Turn your success against number one receivers this year. You guys have done by and large, done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
against them. How much of a weekly emphasis is that for the defense from Sean when he's putting in the game plan?
I mean, we have the guys that we know they want to go to. You know what I'm saying? We pretty much target those guys, make sure that we have a big awareness of where the quarterback wants to go with the ball, and we put our detail into that. All right, thank you guys.